All right. So this is our first ever staff meeting, June 7th. Welcome everybody. I'm really excited about all of you being here. Let's just take a minute and open in a word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we are just so thankful and so grateful for all of these opportunities that you're bringing our way, for the students and the families that you're bringing to us, and Lord, for these teachers. And I pray that you will give them wisdom and that you will give them peace and you'll give them strength as they maneuver through all of these systems and all of the learning and all of the preparation that they do for their classes. We thank you for the gift of your Son and what his death and resurrection mean to us. And in your name we pray, amen. Okay, so I have a couple of things. I see that everybody has their sound muted, so that's good. I'm going to actually share my screen and put up a whiteboard, and we're going to start with, you guys can write on the whiteboard, tell me one thing that you've accomplished this summer so far. I know it's not very far into the summer. One thing that you've accomplished. I'll give you a very small thing. My daughter-in-law and I made lemon meringue pie today, and the mixer didn't work, so we made meringue whisking it. That is a big accomplishment. Did you know you could do that? It takes about 20 minutes, but it can be done. So go ahead and write on the board one thing that you've accomplished this summer. You remember how to write on the whiteboard, everybody? Are you all thinking of it? It doesn't have to be anything spectacular. Let's start. Oh, nice. Wow, that's cool, a 9-mile hike. Who did the fairy garden? Raise your hand. I love fairy gardens.
Jen, if you go to the top where it says view options, it has a little down arrow. It gives you annotate as an option.
Yes.
Sorry, when I'm teaching and I never want to stop to explain that. And my students always help everybody out. So I thought I'd be the student to help Jen out.
Very nice. That's a big accomplishment. Much better than meringue, Melissa, in design. Very good. Podcast, very cool. Christine did, very good. Good. Great. You guys have accomplished a lot, and it's only June 7th. You should feel pretty proud of yourself. Okay, so I'm going to put up our PowerPoint, and I'm going to do it a little bit different just so that we can get through what we need to do in the time that we have. And then at the end, I'll open it up to questions, okay? So I'm going to share my screen, open the PowerPoint. So a lot of you are probably thinking, how is this going to be different than it was at Landry Academy? Have you wondered that? Like, is it going to be different? And if so, how is it going to be different? So the first thing that's going to be a little bit different is these staff meetings. Notice they're not called faculty meetings anymore. They're called staff meetings, and you can see that it's a group of people who are brainstorming. One of the things that I've been super impressed with as I watch all of you interact on Facebook is if someone has a problem, they come and they post it, and everybody jumps in to help, and I think that that is fantastic. So when we meet monthly, I would love for you to send me ideas of things that we can collaborate on, because I know that you're all independent contractors, but we are much stronger as a team than we are independently. And we're going to find that all the way throughout the year. If we can use each other to rely on, it's just going to be better all around because we have each other. We're not out there all alone. So a couple of things, I'm not big on meetings if we just have to have meetings, like just for the sake of giving information. So I'm going to show you in just a minute where you can find a lot of the information. Like, I don't want to just give you, okay, on this date do this, and on this date do this, and on this date do this, because you can find all of that on the calendar, and I'll show you where. But just a couple of things that I want to show you that are a little bit different. So first of all, I want to address scholarships. Have you all taken advantage of putting in for a scholarship? Or do you have any of your own kids in your own classes? Because, you know, if you have your own kids in your own classes, you don't have to pay for them, but we do need to know to put your own kids in your classes. So scholarships are still going on. Everything's quiet. Nod your head if you've done that. Good. No, yes. So if you can think of anybody that might benefit from a scholarship, even if it's not for your own class, remember that you can do that. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this and I'm going to share something else with you. This is something that you guys are the first to see. Hang on just a second here. And this is our teacher class. And I added a page this morning. You remember how before we had basically a handbook, and some of the things that we do as independent contractors have to be a little bit different from the way we have done them in the past, and we don't have a handbook. However, we do have this little page that I'm going to publish right now, and it's called Best Practices. And so this is very similar to what our handbook would have been like. But I want you to keep in mind that there are some things that are musts, and then there are some things that are up to you as teachers. So musts are anything that you have in your contract, communication, a syllabus, all of the things that are listed on here, holding a 90-minute class, all of those things that are in your contract. And then there are the things that are up to you, and these are the guidelines. Now, I want to just emphasize a point here. Then this is really, really important. I feel like a minute ago I said we were stronger together than we are individually, and I think that kind of goes for our organization. A lot of times parents are looking for one place where they can find all of their information, and they can find it easily. So, you know, we had all of these practices, policies, and procedures before, and it's not going to be a policy that you do certain things, but they are kind of a best practice that you do certain things. Because if people can't find things in your class, that's when you're going to get the complaints. So, no specific number of assignments. No, I'm not going to tell you, you have to have them due every Wednesday night at midnight. Those are all things that are completely up to you. I just want to say that consistency is key. So when you're putting together your syllabus, make sure you have all of those things defined ahead of time, and take a look at this list here for your learning pages, for your live class, and for your assignments. And just kind of keep those things in the back of your mind that we're trying to make things easier for parents, but everything does not have to be the same as long as you're holding your 90-minute class and you're following the things in your contract. Okay, I'm going to stop there for just a second to see if there are any questions. Questions, comments? There's a lot on there, and maybe I put in a scholarship for another student. How do I get the What's New button on my teacher class page? Okay, so how do you get the What's New button on your teacher class page?
Yeah, may I? That's why you guys want to all sit down at a table. I got this thing to work. Good idea to.
Hey, Rhiannon, you can have it if you want.
Can you hear me?
I can.
I'm so sorry. I thought.
It comes in on. I need to go and change that setting.
I'm so sorry. We're on a road trip, and we just got caught in a major torrential downpour. So I'm so sorry I'm late. I'm just trying to figure this all out. How do I mute myself?
Okay, so on your picture, you should have a little microphone that you can mute, or down on the left-hand side of your screen. I don't know. I'll mute you there. Okay, good. Michelle, good point. Jamie, what do you mean the What's New button on your teacher class page? Can you come on mic and tell
yes.
us?
You have it on yours when you screen shared, but I didn't have it on mine. When I went to my class page, yeah, right there.
Where?
Yeah.
I think it's because I'm logged in as an administrator. Oh no, it's because I have inbox messages. You probably don't in your class. So if you have comments on your pages or inbox messages or announcements, it's going to show up for the what's new. If you want, you can come in my office hour tomorrow and I'll send you a message.
Okay.
And we can
Go check it out. Okay. Because I was looking at the class page yesterday and I thought, well, I wonder if there's anything new.
Right.
So, I mean, I was like looking all over the place and I was like, God, if there was a what's new button, then I wouldn't have to look all over the place.
And there it is.
And you had it.
Okay. So I'm also going to show you this calendar because I told you I would show you this in just a minute. And you'll notice that everything is on here, hopefully with the links. And you'll see a couple of things like this. On the 27th is beginning training for our learning. And so it's got a meeting link on here. It's got your phone dial-in numbers. If you actually click on this meeting link, it's pretty cool because it'll give you the option to add all of that information to your Google Calendar, and it just goes right in your Google Calendar. And you can set an alarm for it if you want. Pretty easy. So that's all in the calendar. Just like students, the calendar is a function and a feature that we didn't use much before, and it's fully functional now. And so if you can even add assignments and assessments through the calendar so they all show up on the calendar. All right, I'm gonna stop the share for just a minute and go back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so that was best practices. We already talked about independent contractors. I wanted to say just a minute here that I try to make myself available at good times during the week because I want to be the support for you. I want to be the person that you go, okay, is this going to work? Is this easy for families to find things? And so if there is a time when you can't come to my office hour, please feel free to email me and I'll meet you at a separate time. Even if you just want somebody to pop into a Zoom room with to kind of play with the features or fiddle around with it. Okay, remember that I told you that things were a little bit different with the SIS and the LMS. So you all have logged into PowerSchool? Give me a nod if you have. And you see that that's the only way into learning, right? And learning used to be Haiku. So you're all able to log in, you're all able to see the teacher class, yes? Good, okay, excellent. So don't try to log in through learning itself because you won't be able to get in. So always remember that you kind of have to go through that doorway to get into learning. And then the second thing, and I told you guys this wrong, I think I told you in an email that you would do everything except for the grading in learning. You're actually going to do everything in learning, and everything in learning that you do will feed into PowerSchool. So all of those grades that you put in, all of those scores, all of the annotations, notes for students feeds right into PowerSchool. The problem is if you do something in PowerSchool, it doesn't feed back to learning. So we want to make sure and always do all of the grading and annotating and everything in learning, and it'll feed into PowerSchool. Does that make sense? Nothing in PowerSchool except for student information things. So the next thing, the last thing that I have to tell you about, I'm super excited about because we are eligible for some customized learning training. So I was talking to the lady on the phone this week and she said, well, what do you need to know? And I said, well, our teachers, most of them already have quite a bit of experience with building pages and learning. There are a couple new features that we have never used before, like how to use badges and things like that. So she put together a training for us. And there is a beginning learning training and there is an advanced learning training. There are 2 evenings. I'm going to try to record them, but they won't be as good recorded. And they're going to be pretty fantastic. So this first one is how to put together your class pages, how to add pages, how to add content blocks, how to go through the portal, what feeds into where. It would be beneficial for everybody to go, even if you feel like you're pretty proficient at adding information. And this is all on our calendar. So with that, that's the first one. The second one is the advanced learning class. And so she talks about all things assessment. Doesn't that sound good? How to use passwords, how to effectively build your assessments, more about badges. Something that e-portfolios is something that we can work on. And she's going to be like tips and tricks. She'll have time for question and answers. And I feel like that's going to be a huge, valuable resource for us. So please put that on your calendar. Know that we will record it, but it'll be better if you can attend live, and the recording might be a little bit off because I'm probably going to have to use like Snagit or something like that as the class is going on. So if they don't record it, we have to record it. So now, questions. Isn't that cool? The learning part, isn't that neat? It's going to be great. All right.
I have a quick question. This is Michelle. My video's off. Sorry. Since we can't get directly into learning, we have to go through. Is there any way? I mean, obviously, since they know that's the case, the emails that they send us with our like evening updates and stuff, it would be lovely if those links worked.
I know if you could click on them and go back in, but because of the way it's set up, there's no way to do that. You actually have to log in to Learning to see what the messages are.
Okay.
Is that the same? That's going to be the same for our students in the classes too? They
I
won't
think
be
it will. Yeah, I think it will. And we can ask her more about that during the training, but I'm pretty sure that that is because that's the portal that you have to go through. They'll see messages and they'll see that they have messages, but they'll have to log in to see what the messages are. However, you remember I said that all the annotating and all the notes actually go into PowerSchool. They
Yes.
have to go any further than that to see those things. Anything grade-wise pushes through to the Power Teacher Pro. Other questions? I haven't done a lot with badges, but I think badges could be a huge thing, and it could be a great motivator for students.
Because Melissa asked what I used them for. I one time was reading a student's discussion post, and the student had seriously, like their original post was beautiful. The response to, I felt like every student, it wasn't quite that like, but lots of posts, and so I did one like great communicator or something. And just because if the student had been sitting in my presence, I would have said like, by the way, you're just amazing. So I just did the same thing through a badge, which it's my understanding everybody can see.
Oh,
so
cool.
If you want to practice, Carrie, you could give me a badge and then everybody could tell you if they saw it.
I'll tell you what.
I have some thoughts, ideas, if you need any.
These people showed up for our very first staff meeting. Badge. Okay, other questions or comments? I think you should probably plan on this, like 20 to 30 minute mark for future staff meetings. It's not a whole hour. One other thing I did want to mention is some of you don't have Zoom rooms yet, and that will probably be, kind of maybe 3 or 4 weeks is what I'm thinking before we actually get the Zoom rooms. But if you don't have a Zoom room and you want to play with it, come to an office hour or meet me in the classroom, and I'll give you moderator privileges and you can play with it all you want. Anything else? Anything you want to add, Melissa?
Is the Zoom room different than what we use?
No.
If we taught solo?
Yeah, no, you have it.
Okay.
Anything from you, Melissa? Okay.
Jen, you should try again. I don't know about assessments, but your assignment should have come over.
Yeah, and if you're having, so were you able to transfer the rest of your content, Jen?
Class pages came over, but they were a mess. So I had to do, a whole reformatting to all of those. But I looked under the assessments tab, nothing, assignments tab, nothing. And I was like, sweet Jesus, because all of mine are automated. So if I have to create them all by hand, I seriously would think about maybe not teaching.
No, you should. Yeah, you have a lot of those. I remember that from my girls taking your class. So you should try it again and try it transferring the entire class over and see what happens. Because it should work. And if you need to, email me and I have like a little step-by-step guide for doing that.
Okay, I think I'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Any other questions, comments? Okay, thanks for coming, you guys. I hope you have a great week. Let me know if you have any concerns. Bye.